Hello, family. Enjoy this relaxing moment with Surly Tales. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. It means the world to us. Also, share this video with your friends and loved ones, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss future videos from us. Thank you as you do so. Sit back and relax as we dive into the story. The bustling streets of Lagos were alive with energy, a symphony of car horns, vendors shouting their wares, and the hum of endless conversations. Among the chaos, Nath stood in his modest apartment, pulling on his worn-out sneakers. His reflection in the cracked mirror showed a young man with determination etched into his every feature. He was lean, with dark skin that glistened faintly under the sunlight streaming through the window. His hands, rough from years of manual labor, spoke volumes about his journey. Nath had dreams, big ones. He envisioned building a business that would not only secure his future but also uplift his community. However, for now, those dreams had to wait. His priority was Nella, the woman he loved with every fiber of his being. Nella was everything Nath thought he could ever want: beautiful, charismatic, and ambitious. Her almond-shaped eyes sparkled when she laughed, and her presence could light up any room. But beneath her charm lay an unquenchable thirst for a life Nath struggled to provide. Nath worked tirelessly, holding down 3 jobs. By day, he was a delivery driver navigating the chaotic city traffic. In the evenings, he repaired electronics in a small shop owned by a friend. At night, he worked as a security guard at an upscale mall. Every naira he earned was carefully divided between his modest expenses, a small savings fund for his dream, and whatever would make Nella happy. The strain of love. Their relationship had begun in simpler times. They met at a community event, where Nath had been volunteering. Nella, dressed in a flowing ochre dress that showcased her elegance, had caught his eye immediately. Over time, they grew close, sharing dreams of a brighter future. But while Nath's dreams centered on building something from the ground up, Nella's were filled with images of luxury, mansions, designer clothes, and exotic vacations. Nath didn't fault her for wanting more. He understood that she had grown up in hardship and was determined to escape it. So, he made it his mission to give her a taste of the life she craved. He saved up for months to buy her a gold necklace she had admired at a local shop. He spent sleepless nights planning surprise dates, picnics by the lagoon, homemade dinners with candles and soft music. Yet, no matter how much he gave, it never seemed enough. The arrival of Rasmeal. One evening, Nath and Nella attended a networking event at a luxurious hotel. Nath had been invited by a client who admired his work ethic. Nella, draped in a dress Nath had saved up to buy, was radiant. Nath couldn't help but feel proud to have her by his side. That was when Rasmeal entered the picture. He was tall and commanding, dressed in a tailored suit that screamed wealth. Rasmeal was a self-made millionaire who had built his fortune in real estate. His confidence and charm were magnetic, and when he struck up a conversation with Nella, Nath felt a pang of unease. Over the next few weeks, Nath noticed subtle changes in Nella. She became distant, her laughter less frequent. She began spending more time on her phone, smiling at messages Nath never saw. When he confronted her, she brushed it off, claiming she was just stressed. But Nath knew something had shifted. The breaking point. The final blow came on a rainy evening. Nath had spent the entire day working overtime to afford a special dinner for their anniversary. He had prepared everything: a home-cooked meal, candles, and even a handwritten letter expressing his love. But Nella never showed up. Hours later, she walked in, her expression guarded. "We need to talk," she said, her voice devoid of warmth. As she spoke, Nath's heart shattered into a million pieces. Nella admitted that she had been seeing Rasmeal. "He can give me the life I've always dreamed of," she said, avoiding Nath's gaze. "You're a good man, Nath, but I can't wait forever for you to make it." Nath wanted to fight for her, to promise her the world, but he knew it would be in vain. Her mind was made up. As she walked out the door, taking a piece of his heart with her, Nath stood frozen, the rain outside mirroring the tears streaming down his face. The glimmer of resolve. In the days that followed, Nath grappled with a torrent of emotions: anger, sadness, and a deep sense of inadequacy. But as the weeks turned into months, those feelings began to transform. Nella's departure had left a void, but it also ignited a fire within him. For years he had put his dreams on hold, pouring everything into a relationship that had ultimately left him empty. Now he decided it was time to focus on himself. Late one night as the city slept, Nath sat at his small desk, sketching out plans for a business. His idea was simple yet profound: to create eco-friendly products inspired by African craftsmanship. He envisioned a brand that would celebrate local artisans while addressing global sustainability issues. It was a daunting task, but for the first time in months, Nath felt a spark of hope. With determination in his heart and the lessons of his heartbreak etched into his soul, Nath prepared to embark on a journey that would change his life forever. The months following Nella's departure were the darkest of Nath's life. The once vibrant young man became a shadow of himself, haunted by memories of a love he had worked tirelessly to nurture. His tiny apartment, once filled with reminders of Nella, her favorite throw pillows, a photo of them at the beach, now felt like a hollow shell. He avoided his favorite spots in the city, afraid of stumbling upon her and Rasmeal, the man who had effortlessly taken what Nath had fought so hard to preserve. Yet, in the quiet hours of the night, when the weight of loneliness bore down on him, Nath began to find clarity. His pain, though immense, became a mirror reflecting the truth. He had spent years giving his all to someone who could not see his worth. If Nella couldn't value his dedication and dreams, then he would prove his value to himself and to the world. The birth of an idea. Sitting in his modest living room one evening, Nath sifted through an old notebook filled with ideas he had jotted down over the years. One page, in particular, caught his eye: a sketch of an eco-friendly soap bar inspired by the local shea butter industry. It was a simple idea, but one rooted in his culture and community. For years, Nath had dreamed of starting a business that combined sustainability with African craftsmanship, showcasing the beauty of his heritage to the world. That night he made a decision. He would channel all his heartbreak, all his frustration, and all his energy into building something extraordinary. His business wouldn't just be about making money, it would be a testament to resilience, a tribute to those who dared to dream despite the odds. The struggle begins. Starting a business in a bustling city like Lagos was no small feat. Nath faced challenges at every turn. First, there was the issue of capital. With his meager savings and no family wealth to rely on, Nath had to get creative. He took on extra shifts at the electronics repair shop and began selling secondhand items online to raise money. Every naira earned was carefully allocated to his business fund. Next came the challenge of production. Nath had the idea but not the expertise. He spent weeks researching online, watching tutorials, and experimenting with ingredients in his tiny kitchen. His first batch of soap was a disaster, crumbly and uneven, with a scent that was far from pleasant. But Nath refused to give up. He reached out to local artisans, attending workshops and learning from their expertise. Slowly but surely, his products began to improve. The first breakthrough. Months of hard work culminated in Nath's first market day. He had rented a small stall at a local artisan fair, where he displayed his handmade soaps, packaged in vibrant wrappers inspired by traditional African patterns. The fair was buzzing with activity, vendors calling out to customers, music playing in the background, and the tantalizing aroma of street food wafting through the air. Nath's heart raced as the first customer approached. It was a middle-aged woman in a bright ghillie who picked up one of his soaps and inhaled its fragrance. "Shea butter and lavender?" she asked, her tone impressed. Nath nodded, explaining the natural ingredients and the story behind his brand. By the end of the day, Nath had sold almost all his stock. The money he earned was modest, but the validation was priceless. For the first time since Nella had left, Nath felt a spark of pride and purpose. Building momentum. Word of Nath's products began to spread. Customers admired not just the quality of his soaps but also the story behind them. Nath's brand, which he named Nura Essentials, a blend of his name and the Hausa word for light, quickly gained a loyal following. Social media played a crucial role in his success. He created a simple Instagram page where he showcased his products and shared videos of the production process, highlighting the local artisans who worked with him. As his customer base grew, so did his ambition. Nath expanded his product line to include body lotions and candles, each crafted with the same care and authenticity. He also began sourcing materials directly from rural communities, ensuring fair wages for the women who harvested the shea butter and other ingredients. A new chapter. With success came change. Nath's days were now filled with meetings, production schedules, and market research. He often worked late into the night, fueled by a determination to make Nura Essentials a household name. Yet, despite his busy schedule, Nath never lost sight of his original vision. His business was not just about profit, it was about empowerment. One day, while delivering a batch of products to a high-end store, Nath met Martha. She was the store manager, a soft-spoken woman with an infectious smile. Martha was unlike anyone Nath had ever met. She admired his work ethic and the passion he poured into his business. Over time, their professional relationship blossomed into something deeper. Martha became Nath's anchor, supporting him through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. She encouraged him to take risks, helped him refine his branding, and reminded him to celebrate his victories, big and small. For the first time since Nella, Nath felt truly seen and valued. Reflection and resolve. As Nath's business grew, so did his confidence. He no longer felt the sting of Nella's rejection. Instead, he saw it as a blessing in disguise, a catalyst for his transformation. Looking back, he realized that losing Nella had forced him to confront his own insecurities and discover his true potential. On the anniversary of the day Nella had left, Nath sat in his office, now a sleek space in the heart of Lagos. He looked out at the city that had both broken and rebuilt him. In his hands was a bar of soap, a simple product that had become the foundation of his success. He smiled, not with bitterness but with gratitude. His journey was far from over, but for the first time in years, Nath felt at peace. The life Nella envisioned with Rasmeal had all the trappings of a dream: lavish dinners at five-star restaurants, weekend getaways to tropical islands, and a wardrobe filled with designer clothing. She basked in the glow of her newfound lifestyle, her social media accounts bursting with photos of luxury, always accompanied by captions about living her best life. Yet, beneath the glitz and glamour, cracks began to form. Rasmeal, though charming and generous, was a man who thrived on control. His gifts came with unspoken expectations, and his attention waned when Nella failed to meet them. Over time, she realized that her place in his life was not as a partner but as an accessory, a trophy to show off in public and dismiss behind closed doors. The strain of material wealth. At first, Nella ignored the warning signs. She told herself that this was the price of luxury, that her sacrifices were justified because she had finally escaped the struggle. But the cracks widened. Rasmeal's dismissive comments about her limited ambition stung deeply, and his reluctance to discuss a future together planted seeds of doubt. The turning point came during an opulent dinner party Rasmeal hosted at his mansion. Nella, dressed in a stunning emerald gown, felt out of place among his wealthy associates. Their conversations revolved around investments, politics, and travels she could barely relate to. When she tried to contribute, Rasmeal cut her off with a patronizing smile. "Let the experts handle this, darling," he said, his tone dripping with condescension. Nella's cheeks burned with humiliation. That night, as she lay awake in Rasmeal's grand bedroom, she began to question the choices that had brought her here. Abandoned dreams. Not long after, Nella discovered she was pregnant. At first, she was filled with a cautious hope. She imagined the baby as a new beginning, a chance to build a family with Rasmeal and solidify their bond. But when she broke the news, his reaction shattered her illusions. Rasmeal's face darkened as she shared the news. "A baby," he repeated, his voice devoid of warmth. "Do you realize what this will do to my image? To my lifestyle?" Nella was stunned. She had expected some hesitation, perhaps even fear, but not outright rejection. When she pressed him, pleading for them to face this together, he shook his head. "I didn't sign up for this," he said coldly. "You'll have to figure it out on your own." The next morning, Rasmeal left for a business trip. Days turned into weeks, and his calls grew less frequent until they stopped altogether. Nella found herself alone in the mansion that once felt like a palace but now felt like a prison. The staff, once courteous and accommodating, became distant, sensing the shift in her status. Eventually, Rasmeal's lawyer arrived with a letter, an offer of a modest settlement in exchange for her leaving the house. Humiliated and heartbroken, Nella packed her belongings and left. A fall from grace. Nella returned to the neighborhood she had once vowed to escape. The contrast was stark. Gone were the tailored dresses and sparkling jewelry. In their place were simple clothes she could barely afford. She rented a tiny apartment with the last of her savings and began searching for work. The reality of her new life weighed heavily on her. Friends who once admired her luxurious lifestyle now avoided her, and family members who had warned her about Rasmeal offered little comfort. Months passed, and Nella's pregnancy became more visible. She faced rejection after rejection in her job search. Employers were reluctant to hire a woman so close to giving birth. Desperation led her to take a cleaning job at a corporate office in the city, a far cry from the glamorous life she had imagined. The job was grueling, but it provided just enough to keep her afloat. Each day, she scrubbed floors, emptied trash cans, and wiped down desks, her swollen belly a constant reminder of both her mistakes and her unborn child's future. A familiar name. One morning, as Nella mopped the hallway of the company's executive floor, she heard a name that stopped her in her tracks: Nath. Her heart raced as she pieced together the fragments of a conversation between two employees. The CEO's coming in later. Nath's making big moves, one said. I heard he just signed a deal with a global distributor, the other added. Nella's mind reeled. Could it be the same Nath she had left behind? The thought seemed impossible, yet the details fit. Her curiosity got the better of her, and she asked a colleague about the company's CEO. Mr. Nath Ideal, the colleague replied. He started this business a few years ago. Hardworking guy. Inspiring story. The weight of the revelation hit Nella like a tidal wave. Nath, the man she had dismissed as inadequate, was now the head of a thriving company. Her emotions were a tangled mess of regret, shame, and curiosity. Chance encounter. Later that day, as Nella cleaned a conference room, the door opened and Nath walked in. He froze when he saw her, his expression a mixture of surprise and recognition. Nella's heart sank as she struggled to meet his gaze. Nella, he said, his voice calm but measured. Nath, she replied, her voice barely a whisper. For a moment, the room was silent, the weight of their shared past hanging in the air. Nath's eyes softened as he noticed her condition. How have you been? He asked, his tone genuine. Nella felt tears welling up but quickly blinked them away. I'm managing, she said, her voice trembling. I'm working here now. Nath nodded, his expression unreadable. He didn't press her for details, instead asking if she had a moment to talk. They stepped into his office, where Nella explained her situation. She spoke of Rasmeal's betrayal, her struggles, and her determination to provide for her unborn child. Nath listened quietly, his demeanor kind but reserved. When she finished, he leaned back in his chair, his fingers steepled. I'll help you, Nella, he said finally. Not because of the past, but because I believe everyone deserves a second chance. An act of compassion. True to his word, Nath arranged for Nella to take a better position within the company, one that suited her skills and allowed her to work fewer hours as her pregnancy progressed. He also connected her with a support network for single mothers, ensuring she had access to medical care and resources. Nella was overwhelmed by his kindness. She had expected anger or indifference, but Nath's generosity reminded her of the man she had once loved and taken for granted. Over time, she saw glimpses of the life she could have had if she had chosen differently. But Nath's happiness with Martha, whom she occasionally saw at company events, made it clear that those doors were closed. Reflection. Alone in her small apartment, Nella often reflected on the choices that had brought her to this point. She had sought wealth and status, only to lose the one person who had truly cared for her. Yet she refused to dwell in regret. Her unborn child gave her a renewed sense of purpose, and she vowed to build a better life for both of them. Nella's journey of redemption had begun, but her story was far from over. As she prepared to welcome her daughter into the world, she found herself drawing strength from the kindness and resilience of those around her, especially Nath, whose actions reminded her that true wealth was found in compassion, integrity, and love. Months passed, and Nella's pregnancy reached its final stages. The physical toll of carrying a child, combined with the emotional weight of her circumstances, tested her resolve daily. Yet, the support she received at Nath's company gave her hope. Her new role in the Human Resources Department, albeit entry-level, allowed her to develop skills she hadn't known she possessed. It was a lifeline, offering her stability during a time of uncertainty. Despite her progress, every encounter with Nath brought mixed emotions. She admired the man he had become, confident, respected, and compassionate, but his success was a constant reminder of what she had lost. Nath remained professional, always treating her with kindness, but there was an unspoken understanding between them. Their past was a closed chapter. A glimpse into Nath's world. One day, Nella was asked to assist with preparations for an upcoming board meeting. It was an opportunity to showcase her growing capabilities, and she threw herself into the task. On the day of the meeting, as she set up the conference room, she overheard a conversation between Nath and one of the board members. Nura Essentials is expanding into 3 more countries, the board member said. Your vision has truly transformed this company. Nath's response was modest. It's not just me, it's the team, the community, and the people who believed in what we're doing. Nella felt a pang of pride for Nath, but also an ache of regret. She had once dismissed his dreams as impractical, yet here he was, leading a business that had not only flourished but also uplifted others. The realization deepened her understanding of how much she had underestimated him. Nella's revelation. Later that week, Nella found herself alone in the break room, nursing a cup of tea. Martha walked in, her radiant smile lighting up the space. Martha was everything Nella had once aspired to be, poised, intelligent, and deeply connected to Nath's world. You're Nella, right? Martha said warmly, extending a hand. I've heard a lot about you from Nath. Nella hesitated before shaking her hand. All good things, I hope? Martha laughed. Of course. Nath speaks highly of your determination. The 2 women chatted briefly, and for the first time, Nella saw the depth of Martha's character. She wasn't just Nath's partner, she was his equal, someone who shared his values and supported his dreams. It was clear that their relationship was built on mutual respect and love, the kind Nella had once taken for granted. As Martha left, Nella felt a bittersweet sense of closure. Nath had found the happiness he deserved, and though she was no longer part of his journey, she couldn't deny the role she had played in shaping the man he had become. The birth of Nella's daughter. Weeks later, Nella went into labor. The pain was excruciating, but as she held her newborn daughter for the first time, a profound sense of purpose washed over her. She named the baby Amani, meaning peace in Swahili, a reflection of the new chapter she was determined to create. Word of Amani's birth reached Nath, who sent a bouquet of flowers and a handwritten note. Congratulations on the arrival of your daughter. Wishing you and Amani all the best in this beautiful journey. The gesture moved Nella to tears. It was a reminder of Nath's unwavering kindness, even in the face of their complicated history. Nath's offer. A few weeks after Amani's birth, Nella returned to work part-time. Balancing motherhood and a job was challenging, but she was determined to succeed. One afternoon, Nath called her into his office. I wanted to check in on how you're doing, he said, his tone sincere. I'm managing, Nella replied. Thank you for the opportunity here. It's been a lifeline. Nath nodded. You've shown a lot of growth, Nella. I'd like to offer you a new role, something that utilizes your strengths more effectively. Nella stared at him, stunned. Why would you do that? After everything? Because everyone deserves a second chance, Nath said simply. And because I believe in you. Overwhelmed, Nella accepted the offer. The new role came with better pay and more flexibility, allowing her to spend more time with Amani. It was a turning point, one that reignited her sense of self-worth. a life transformed. As Nella settled into her new role, she began to rebuild her life. She enrolled in online classes, determined to gain the qualifications needed for a brighter future. With every step forward, she found herself drawing strength from Amani, whose presence filled her days with joy and purpose. Though Nath and Martha's lives seemed worlds apart from hers, their kindness continued to inspire her. She often thought about the path she had chosen and the one she had abandoned, but instead of dwelling on regret, she chose gratitude for the lessons learned, the opportunities given, and the chance to start anew. The morning sun streamed through the windows of Nath's corporate headquarters, casting a golden hue over the bustling office. It was a day of celebration. Nura Essentials had just been featured in an international magazine as one of the top African brands making a global impact. Employees moved with excitement, discussing the company's rise from humble beginnings to its present-day success. Nath stood in his office, gazing out at the Lagos skyline. A contented smile graced his face as he thought about how far he had come. Beside him, Martha adjusted his tie, her touch gentle and familiar. "Ready for the big announcement?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with pride. "As ready as I'll ever be," Nath replied, leaning down to kiss her forehead. Martha had been his rock, standing by him through every challenge. Today, they would share the news of their upcoming wedding with the team, a celebration of love, resilience, and partnership. The helping hand. Nella, meanwhile, was thriving in her new role within the company. She had taken Nath's offer as an opportunity to not only improve her life but also set an example for her daughter, Amani. Balancing work, parenting, and night classes was no easy feat, but Nella approached each day with determination. One afternoon, as Nella prepared a report, she received an email from Nath's assistant requesting her presence in his office. Nervous but curious, she made her way upstairs. When she arrived, she found both Nath and Martha waiting for her. "Nella," Nath began, gesturing for her to sit, "we wanted to personally thank you for the contributions you've made to the company. Your growth has been remarkable." Martha chimed in, her tone warm. "And we've been discussing ways to support you further. We know how hard you're working to provide for Amani and build a better future." Nath slid a folder across the table. Inside was a scholarship offer, funding for Nella's continued education, along with a mentorship program tailored to her career goals. Nella's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know what to say, thank you. Both of you." "You don't have to say anything," Nath replied. "Just keep pushing forward. You have so much potential, and we believe in you." A new chapter for Nella. The scholarship allowed Nella to reduce her hours at work and focus on her studies. She pursued a degree in business administration, determined to one day create something meaningful for herself and her daughter. Amani became her greatest source of motivation, her laughter filling their modest apartment with light. Nella often thought about Nath and Martha's generosity. It wasn't just the opportunities they provided, it was the kindness they showed her despite everything that had happened. Their actions reminded her of the importance of forgiveness and the power of second chances. As Nella progressed in her education, she began to dream of starting her own business, one that would empower single mothers like herself. She envisioned a space where women could learn skills, find support, and build sustainable futures for their families. Nath and Martha's wedding. The day of Nath and Martha's wedding was a grand celebration of love and culture. Held at a lush estate on the outskirts of Lagos, the event blended modern elegance with traditional African customs. Guests arrived dressed in vibrant attire, the air filled with the sounds of drums and laughter. Nath and Martha exchanged vows under a canopy adorned with local flowers, their words a testament to their journey together. As they spoke, Nath glanced at the crowd and saw Nella seated with Amani. She held her daughter close, her face reflecting a mixture of joy and bittersweet reflection. After the ceremony, Nella approached the couple to offer her congratulations. "You two are perfect for each other," she said, her voice genuine. "Thank you, Nella," Martha replied, embracing her. "And we're proud of you too. Keep going, you're doing amazing." Nath smiled, his eyes meeting Nella's. "You're stronger than you realize, Nella. Don't ever forget that." Closure and renewal. Nella left the wedding feeling a sense of closure she hadn't expected. She no longer felt weighed down by regret. Instead, she felt inspired. Nath and Martha's kindness had given her the strength to believe in herself again, and she was determined to make the most of her second chance. Over the following years, Nella launched her own small business, a social enterprise that provided training and job opportunities for single mothers. Her venture gained traction, and she began collaborating with Nella Essentials on community outreach projects. A life well lived. As Nath and Martha embarked on their married life, they continued to grow Nella Essentials, expanding its impact and creating jobs across the continent. Their love and shared vision remained a source of inspiration to those around them. Nella, meanwhile, found fulfillment in raising Amani and building her business. Though her journey had been fraught with challenges, she discovered that resilience, humility, and love could pave the way for a brighter future. In the end, all three lives, Nath's, Nella's, and Martha's, became intertwined in a story of redemption, kindness, and the transformative power of forgiveness. Each had faced their own trials, but through grace and determination, they found new beginnings and left a legacy of hope for those who came after them. If you enjoyed this story, we invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to keep bringing heartwarming stories almost every day. We are very grateful for your support. See you soon.